G'day everyone, Prep Aussie here. I hope you're all well in whatever part of the world you're watching this video. Today is Monday, the 18th of October 2021, and the time here is 0850 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Okay folks, this video will be in regards to SWMs and how to fill them out for the vaccine. Okay, so let's go to that now. And before we do, here is my sponsor, Totally Awesome, who make golden activated turmeric paste. If you have not tried it, then you are missing out. They also have the chai turmeric and the, just a normal golden activated one. They also make Happy Healing Silica, amongst other items. They even make pig's ears for your dogs, folks. Look, this stuff is fantastic. If you haven't tried it, you're missing out. Everybody that I've recommended it to has recommended it to other people. That's how good it is. It sells itself. Here's where you contact them, 0433 165 848 and info@totallyrawesome.com.au. And here's where you can find them. Every Saturday, Burley Markets. Every Sunday, Mark & Co at Hodder. Right. I have a treat for you guys. Somebody, a good gentleman in Victoria called Michael, that's all I'm going to say, supplied his boss with a SWMs. Now, technically, let's get down to this. He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't actually have to. By law, your boss is supposed to do a risk assessment. Based on that risk assessment, then in conjunction with you, they will do a SWMs, safe worth method statement, blah, 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 to go through all the risk that's been identified in the risk assessment. Now, I've got to take my hat off to Michael. He's pretty shrewd, right? Now, what is kind of annoying is that a lot of you wrote to me, and I'm finding this more and more. Look, I'm going to be blunt about this, and it's going to piss a few people off. If you're going to run around, I used to say this when I was working in, management and construction. When you're running down hallways, going like that, like a big albatross, then you've lost all control. Second to that, if you show up to work wearing an apron, then obviously you want people to do things for you. What I mean by that is, sometimes you have to do things for yourself, right? We're in a war here, folks. I don't know if you understand that or not. We are actually in a war. That's why you're getting hammered every single day by these people saying you have to do this before you can go and, eat a sandwich or get a coffee or, all this sort of rubbish, right? You're in a war. There's no two ways about it. Sorry, I just realised, hang on a second. And as I said, I forgot to turn the power on. As I said, a mandate is not legally binding. They cannot force you to take a vaccine. That's why they're trying to sack everybody. Now, thankfully, we have these things in Australia, or we still do, whether they're relevant or not is another whole nother story, but called laws. Health and Safety at Work Act is a law, right? They didn't get rid of it because they said, we want to put a mandate in, that overrides the health and safety. It doesn't work like that. It never has, and it never will. And the day it does, you need to understand you're actually living and working in Nazi Germany because you're being run by dictators. And the parliament, you might as well burn it to the ground because it doesn't matter. Laws, you might as well rip up the sheets. They don't matter because you're being run by Nazis. This is really important. You need to, this is the genesis of what I'm trying to say here. They can march down the street with bullhorns and say, it's been mandated, you all have to take the vaccine. They can mandate whatever they want. They all know that is, that it is not. If it was law, right, why has the federal government, or why did the federal government come out and say, oh, we can't do it? Because they know they can't. It's not law. If the federal government came out to say, and sorry, let me go back a bit here. So what they've said is, okay, the state governments are now going to do it based on public health orders. It doesn't matter a shit. They're not relevant and they don't mean anything. Unbelievable. Sorry, folks, my phone rang. No one ever rings me. Okay, so that's the genesis of what you need to understand here. There is no getting around the health and safety laws, regardless of what anybody says. Okay, now somebody somewhere in each state or a state is going to take this to court and they're going to win. That's how serious this is. They know this. But what they're trying to do is blindside you by saying 80% of New South Wales has had the vaccine. If 80% of people in New South Wales have had the vaccine, I've got 7 bridges in Australia to sell you for $100. I want you to understand it. Just understand this, right? If 80%, just look at yourself, look around. 80% of the population, that's not possible. It's absolute bollocks. And look, I'm not even a mathematician, and even my wife went, how do they do that? And she's vaccinated. It's literally impossible to get 80% of the population vaccinated, folks. What? So now they've got a list of every single person in New South Wales. You just got to look. And then miraculously, 70% of the people in Victoria are now vaccinated. Does that make sense to anybody else here? No, because they know what's happening is they're getting driven into this cul-de-sac. They're trying to get round the edges, but there's more people coming in going, what the hell's going on here? And now they're going, oh, well, geez, we better tell everyone we've got 80% and 70% vaccinated. Look, as I said, somebody somewhere is going to take this to court based on the fact that it's all bullshit, and then they're going to say, okay, well, this is a Health and Safety at Work Act. Have you complied with it? This man here, Joe Bloggs, gave you a SWMS, gave you a risk assessment, which is legal, and you gave him what? Nothing. Oh, but we went for the public. No, forget that. That'll just get thrown straight out of court. So what they'll say is, no. He wrote to you on 3 different occasions. Then he sent you the SWMS, and he sent you a risk assessment based on what you asked him to do, a direction from you, and you didn't do it. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is really, really important, right? And I know it sounds long-winded and it's going to take a while, but it's that serious. You have to have the paperwork in place. That's why I started this. I said you have to have the paperwork in place. Oh, and by the way, when he's in court, he goes, and then he went to WorkSafe, he gave him all the information that he had, and they gave him a case number. What did you do then? Nothing. Right, do you understand? I hope you understand, because this is really, really important. Right, there is not 50, 70% of the people in vaccinated in Victoria. There is not 80% of the people vaccinated in New South Wales. It's virtually impossible. They know this. I've told you from day one, 70-30, 80-20. Because they need to get that many people thinking that they're that far ahead, right, that they can turn them onto the 20% or the 30%. Scumbags! Unvaccinated scum. That'll be the next thing. I watched. Look, I'm not perplexed by a lot of things, but I was absolutely gobsmacked yesterday when I watched Daniel Andrews come out in a news conference and he said, we've got 70% vaccinated people. That's all we care about. You other 30% can die, more or less. We don't care about them. If they want to kill themselves or die, that's up to them. Okay, so let me get this straight, right? And if you've got even half a brain, you can understand this. So they're locking Victoria down, shitting themselves about COVID-19, etc., because they don't want the population to flood the hospitals. Okay, fair enough, which was never going to be the case anyway. They didn't go building any new COVID centres or anything, did they? No, because they knew it was all bullshit, right? But then, so you've got 70% vaccinated now and 30. Okay, by my calculations, that's still a couple of 100,000 people, maybe a million. Say it's a couple of 100,000. So they're not worried about those 30% flooding the emergency departments now? What are they just going to wheel them in and let them die? Do you understand the mind games these people are playing? And that's the same for New South Wales. Oh, we can open up our borders and everything, which was all bullshit anyway, but because we've got 80%, we're no longer a hotspot. Okay, well, you still got 200,000, I don't know, 500,000 people who haven't had a vaccine. Not going to have a vaccine. Don't need a vaccine. So what, all of a sudden they're not relevant? They're not going to go to hospital? Because they were worried about 1%, less than 1% of the people who were getting sick with COVID were flooding the emergency departments? Less than 1%? They couldn't cope when 1,000 people went in there. What are they going to do if 500,000 people come down with this thing? Honestly, folks, look, I don't know who the script writers are or everything. Like I said in the script, the video I did the script, these guys are clowns. Honestly, they're just, and you're a buffoon if you're actually listening to this stuff. I've stopped listening to it weeks ago, but I caught Daniel Andrews yesterday and I thought, it's amazing. People actually believe this shit. They actually believe this. And I was with a group of people the other day, and they're all, oh, take the vaccine, not take the vaccine, blah, blah, blah. What are you going to do? I said, here's what I'm going to do. I want each of you to give me $1,000. Wow. Well, what do you want $1,000 for? I said, because I'm going to give it to Scott Morrison or Gladys or, Anastasia. I'm going to give them $1,000 each from you, and I'm going to ask them to invest it for you. What would you say? Each and every one of them said, piss off. No way would I give them $1,000. And I turned around and I said, but you're more than prepared to go down and get a shot in your arm that you know nothing about, that nobody's done any due diligence on. So from people that you don't trust with your money, who couldn't run a local chook lotto raffle down at the pub, honestly, they couldn't. They're that bombastic. They could not run a chook raffle at your local leagues club, or even at the front bar of a pub. They couldn't run a chook raffle at the front bar of a pub. As I said, you give them 100 tickets, they're going to pull out 101. But people are more than prepared to go down and get a shot in the arm from a bunch of morons who, honestly, folks, it's just ridiculous. But I don't need to tell you guys that anyway. Okay, so look, what Michael did and what you should all do after I show you this is he actually did a proper Swms. So let's go to it now. Okay, now this is one that Michael downloaded himself off the net. I'm not sure where he got it, etc., etc. But because that's kind of not relevant. The fact is that he's done it himself. And this is exactly what he sent to his employer. Now, this is important. Read what this says at the top here. The employer must complete a safe work method statement or equivalent prior to the commencement of any high-risk work. Now, I should tell you, due to confidentiality, I can't, honestly, folks, I was actually wetting myself crying with laughter. I can't tell you who Michael's employer is, but I have it. This is high levels. They're high level employees, but employers, by the way, right? I literally wet myself with laughter reading not only their email, but the shock on their face when they got this, right? Because Michael did it properly. He sent it to their safety department and everything else. And I said to him, they still haven't responded to him, because I know for a fact they would have got this and they just would have literally, because he sent the Pfizer, he did exactly the right thing. He did the SWMS and he sent the risk assessment based as the Pfizer safety data sheet with it. He sent the Pfizer data sheet with this. Now remember, you're sending it to people who've had the shot. So they haven't read this shit. This is how dumb this is, right? These people haven't read it. So he's actually sent it to them based on this SWMS, right? And I've got to tell you, this is incredible, right? You obviously fill it all out, blah, 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 blah. High risk job description, COVID-19 mandatory vaccine injection, right? Which is correct. What are the tasks involved? COVID-19 injection. Very simple, folks. What are the hazards and risks? Against each step, list the potential hazards that could cause injury damage when the step is performed. Okay. Now, Michael's gone through the risk assessment and he's listed, look, I won't bore you with it. I won't read out every single thing here, right? He's listed down the things that he thinks are relevant in this section, right? And then when it gets to the different sections, right, and then he's put his own sort of stuff in here, right? They would have toxicological information, right? He's written everything you can think of in this SWMS, and I mean pretty well everything. He could have put a few more things in there, but it's pretty bloody good, right? To the point where if he ever goes when he goes to WorkSafe, they are just going to say, yeah, you've got all the information. Here's your case number. And if Michael wants to, he's actually going to see an employment lawyer this week. And the employment lawyer will say exactly what I'm going to say now. He's 100% correct. He's actually backed these guys into such a bad corner now that they'll either have to pay him out, they can't sack him, because he's actually given them the correct information. And if they do sack him, then Michael's going to get a payout. It's as simple as that. I'm telling you that now. And very simply, the reason is because he did the correct work. He just sat down and did a SWMS, as I read it then. They're very easy to do, folks. You shouldn't be asking me, sending me emails, oh, is this correct? Just do the bloody things and send it off. I'm not your nanny. Sometimes in war, you have to actually get behind a gun and shoot the frigging thing. Do you know what I mean? I'm not here to nursing maid you. I'll help you. I've done 6 videos now on how to do this. And if I made one mistake, I probably said, you should get back from your employer a SWMS, which is what it says at the top of that. They're supposed to give it to you. But hey, it doesn't matter. Now, here's the most important thing. At the bottom of this, Michael signed it. It says signed by. So Michael signed it. When you give a SWMS, and this is law, when you give a SWMS back to your employer signed, It's a legally binding document. It's not, oh, I might not. It's a legally binding document. If you've given your employer a SWMS, a safe work method statement, right? Because they can be done for any industries. Forget about what WorkSafe's saying to you, oh, it's only done in construction for high risk activities. Yeah, that's kind of true. That was the main cause of SWMS. Okay, do you know why SWMS came into effect? Because of the Piper Alpha tragedy years ago in off the coast of the UK. Because why? Because the guys didn't do their job correctly, which was go through it and sign. They were all talking about going to the pub and blah, 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 blah. That's what happened. And that's why this all became relevant. So, excuse me. So if you give your employer a SWMS, a signed SWMS, based on what you've been given a direction to do, I take the jab, go up a ladder, jackhammer out a floor, drive a machine, etc., then you have to give them a SWMS. And it works both ways. It protects both people. So if the employer gives it to you, he's filled it out in his safety department. You haven't read it. You've just signed it and you give it back to him. I can guarantee you, as long as my ass points to the ground, because I had to do this, by the way, you go to court and the judge goes, well, did you read this? So say there's an accident or whatever, and the employee goes, yeah, I read it. He goes, well, you signed it. Oh, but you signed it, mate, which tells me that you went, did the company go through this with you? And the company, of course, is going to say yes, regardless of whether they did or not, because the actual employer is supposed to go through it with you. Now, obviously that don't happen all the time, but on the majority of cases, if it's high risk work, then yeah, you have to. It turns into like a little bit of a job. Okay. So my point being, once you give it to your employer, signed, it is a legally binding document, regardless of the fact if he wants it or doesn't want it, right? Then when you trot your ass down to WorkSafe and you give them 5 days and you say, well, look, you send them an email saying, hey, look, I gave you guys 5 days, you didn't get back to me, I'm now going to WorkSafe. Then you take all that down to WorkSafe and you go, well, guys, look, I've given them their 5 days, they haven't responded to me. I want a case number because I'm going to lodge this in, I'm going to go to tribunal. That's all you have to say. I'm going to go to tribunal. Okay? Please stop writing to me. I've given you 6 videos now how to do this. I'm not your nursemaid. I'm not your nanny. And yes, I understand that sometimes this is a little bit, but you're wasting good time doing the things that you could have done easily, very easily. I've just shown you it would have taken Michael an hour, and he's not even. Can I just point out he's not a construction guy. This guy, right? He's done this in an hour, I'm guessing, and it's very easy to fill out, folks. And you just go through it. You go through the phases. See, put down the numbers on the side, like I told you. Can it have a lot more information in it? Yeah, probably, but that's not the point. The point is you're giving them a signed document, safe work method statement, based on the Pfizer safety data sheet. So you're not making up the information. You've given them the chronological numbers giving them chronological numbers based on the safety data sheet. The numbers correspond to the safety data sheet. That's how this works. I used to do this for a living. I know what I'm talking about. Basically, you do it so that you screw people over. It's as simple as that. Now, if and when the time comes for me to do one of these, maybe I should do one. I haven't got the time. Then it will be very finite. That's how far you can take these. You can take them to 20 pages if you want. You can break it right down to the base minimum or base maximum of every single word you want. Now, like I said to you, I started laughing after Michael sent me this because I can imagine he gave it to his safety rep and his CEO. They would have read this and gone, like he sent it with the safety data sheet. So imagine these guys, they've got the jab, they're reading this. They would have started reading this and they would have gone, what? Oh, that's bullshit. It can't be right. And then they would have looked at the safety data sheet with the corresponding numbers and gone, I put this in my body. I put this in my body. Because what you're doing here is you're the whole purpose of this to do two things. Stop these clowns from doing this, forced mandate bullshit, which is a lie anyway. And two, open people's eyes. Because how many people do you honestly think have read that safety data sheet? And can I just say to you, and I've said this in the other videos, based on just one thing in there, the serious side effects, legally, you should not be using it. When it says things like serious safety side effects, legally, you cannot use it. Or you have to do the world's biggest safety review based on that. And can I just say, that's not a 5-minute exercise. If it says stuff like, anaphylaxis shock, myocarditis, etc., I don't give a shit whether ATAGI, the TGI, whoever they are, and all these Therapeutic Goods Administration, all these guys, when this all comes to pass, people are going to get thrown in prison. That's how bad this is. Because they're going to go, okay, so serious side effects. What review did you do? Oh, we read it. No. What review did you guys do? What process did you guys follow when it said serious side effects? Oh, we just looked at the Pfizer data sheet. Oh, the one that says no data available. This is criminal. It's absolutely criminal. Based on what I'm seeing and what I'm watching and reading and seeing on TV, 70-30, 80-20, and all this sort of, this is criminal shit, folks. And I hope to God, I hope and pray to God, because I've got 3 people in my family now who've had this shot who are making us sick. I've had stonking headaches and just not migraines, I mean mind-breaking headaches. So, which just started after one of my other sons got his first shot. He walked into his house and he must have been shedding or something because, God, we were sick as dogs. Not physically sick, but just mentally. The pain in my head was just enormous. So, okay, look, we'll leave it there. I hope I got the point across. I'm not doing any more interviews, any more what's names on this, videos on this. Oh, and this is really important. This is the last video that I'm going to be uploading onto YouTube because I've been sent something that says you have to sign up for this or otherwise we're going to cut you or all this sort of shit. And look, I don't need the YouTube platform anymore. The only one I'm going to be loading onto now is BitChute until I get kicked off there. Because like I said, remember, this is war. I don't give a shit about YouTube. I never have. If I don't want to use it, I won't use it. Sending me threatening emails. I could read you the email, but they sent me a threatening email saying, you must comply and you must send us all this information by the 1st of November or whatever. And I'm like, I just wrote back to them. I said, yeah, go fornicate with yourself. Thanks. I won't be participating. It's the best business model in the world. How do you get rid of like half of your people that are on YouTube? Send them stupid emails like that, because half of them are going to go, piss off. There's other avenues I can do. I'm going to start seeing if I can actually load these up on the Getter, etc. as well. Okay. So look, this is the last video on YouTube. Okay, so as of now, I'll just be uploading to BitChute. Go over there, you'll find them all over there. Okay. All right, guys, let's do the prayers. These crack me up. Every week it seems to be different. Seems to follow what I'm saying. Okay, Psalm 25, 14, 15. The secret of the Lord is with those who fear him, and he will show them his covenant. My eyes are ever towards the Lord, for he shall pluck my feet out of the net. Good, very good. And okay, folks, as always, we'll finish with the Lord's Prayer. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. All right, folks, going to leave it there. Look, I don't remember anybody ever saying that in a war, or if you're in a war, that things are great, or things go your way, or things are good, or, you know, maybe because I'm a little bit older, 57, I find some of this stuff laughable, actually laughable, and some of the responses from people laughable. Oh my God, he did that. And guys, don't be an albatross running down hallways going like this. Ah! Use the noggin. Baffle them with bullshit, as they say, because that's what they're doing to you. Sit back, take 5, listen to what's being said, absorb the information, and use the information against them. The art of war. Okay? Because that's what this is. You're in a war, whether you like to believe it or not. This is just the beginning. Just the beginning. We haven't gone anywhere yet. This is going to get a whole lot worse. Okay? So if you think that you're just going to write people letters and everything's going to be okay next week, it's not. This is going to be like a 10-year thing. That's how long this is going to go for. 10 years. 10 years of bullshit we have to put up with. You know, whether some of us see it through or not, I don't know. But 10 years, 10 whole years you're going to have to put up with this to get your head around that. Okay? All right. Wish everybody well. God bless. Prep out.